Folks, my own party, but hey, here I am. Give me a second here to check my signals on stuff and get through my spiel, and we'll dive into some cartography for a couple hours here. Let's see if I'm hours here. Signal sounds clean. Twitter's up and running. If you follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, I've just posted that I've gone live. You can always find out when I've gone live by following me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. You can also, if you like and subscribe, hit the bell. You'll always be informed about whenever I go live on YouTube if you follow me on YouTube, which will help in the grand mission of me being able to monetize this channel. I need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of content viewed. I'm now at about 1,020 hours of content viewed and about 140 subscribers. So thanks for showing up and being interested in what I'm doing here. So what is it that I'm doing here? I build role-playing game supplements as PDFs. I publish them online. Currently, the content that we're producing, Eberron is a D&D intellectual property, or a Wizards of the Coast intellectual property through Dungeons and Dragons. I published them on the DMsGuild. There's a link in the description down below to a slew of work I have already produced for Dungeons and Dragons that is published on the DMsGuild. You can read all of that content, 100% free preview, cover to cover. There's maybe about 150 some odd different illustrations across the books that are displayed there. So whether you like D&D or not, there's a ton of artwork for you to take a look at. If you are into D&D and you think these ideas are cool, consider buying some of it to help support the amount of time it takes to produce these things. We're currently on episode... what episode are we on? Why am I chasing this is? Sure, I had a pretty good reason. We're on episode... Oh my god, episode 110 so far. We're just racking up the bodies over here, ain't we? So let's switch this over, check our signal, like, subscribe, hit the bell, best way to support the effort. And what are we doing here? Here's a book cover that we created. This was around episode 42. It'll be about that big on the DMsGuild. And hey, how you doing? What is up, my man Fred? And so we are doing some cartography today for... this Eberron adventure that we've created. We got Stuart Braz, or Zorbrats on Discord. That is our editor, and he is chewing through the documents. It'll be a little while before we get into this underground facility, but here we are. So this is our grid map for the 5-foot square. As always, when we go through a document like this and we break it up, we take away the color, leaving only just the black and white version, which is a super low cost ink production for people that want to use like a laser printer or something. And we can break this thing up into 10-inch tall, 15-inch long, 10 by 15 documents, which are legal sheets, are 11 by 17. So a 10 by 15 or 10 by 16 gives you a half-inch margin, so that you can still print it through on a printer. And we'll have this broken up for folks, so if they wanted to print it out as a huge, it's like a 74 by 74 map. So it's going to be, it would be 5 by 7. So it would be a total of so 35 sheets, and some of them would only have like this little ink on them. Like grab our tool here. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It'd be like, is that going to be enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. So we would like grab a room, get a room. So you can like put a single room in here. You have your entry port here, entryway here, hallway going up and down. And then we could cut off another map, but I'm dropping onto here. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it would end up looking something more like, I haven't actually broken down the map yet, but I just know how these things break down. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll have to figure out, that might not be the best way to do it. One of our challenges will be to build out the maps proper so that each one is its own thought process. Like we could have a page like this would be a 10 by 16, which could fit on a legal sheet, which means that we would be able to slide one over here to take up this hallway. Like it could be a narrowed passage there, and we could drop down to here, and wherever that cut off, we could have a piece here. It would actually be here, and then we'd have another piece like here. So you can see how this is breaking up into sections. We'd have, well, I could even do it like this. Like a piece here, and then a piece here, and then a piece here. So we can break them up by these little room blocks. They don't have to specifically tile perfectly. They can overlap sloppily, quote unquote. So that can be a room instance, and then we have another room instance which we can have here, and you can see as we move away from this bunker area, these are doors that have been removed, and these are just bunk rooms, public shower facility, mess hall coming through here, storage, food stuff. This is just a general rec room. Stairways will lead up into this area here, which is a gatehouse which overlooks this tunnel that's underground. This is a blast door that, if the team can manage to open, would allow them to enter through here, but they can also climb up through the murder hole into here, or they can take these tunnel passages into this flooded area. This whole tunnel here is flooded with water, so this blast door keeps the water from flooding the facility. But if it does, this door and this door are start off default as closed. So when this water washes in, it basically fills up the room to a 5-foot height, but then starts to drain out through here back into this general area, and it takes an hour for it to drain out completely. If the heroes open all the doors and then flood the place, the facility actually ends up just being an inch deep in water, and it takes an hour for the water to distribute out thoroughly. So was it 10 minutes? We have it in the document. I think it's an hour, but it could be 10 minutes. I'll have to double check it. But yeah, as you move through the facility out of this clean room area, we get into you can see how the terrain is starting to corrode. So if we look at one of our other maps that we have built, let's just go grab the cemetery. We worked on that one recently, right? Oh, that's our black and white cemetery map. Let's grab the other one here. This one's probably gonna be okay. Hocus pocus. We're going to work on wall marking and floor grit today. So here's the cemetery that we made. This is a 54-inch by 54-inch spread, and it breaks down. Here's our grid breakdown for the 10 by 16. So you can see it's got 1, 2. Here, let's get rid of the color, so it's easier to see it. So and these be hidden too. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 20 square map area, and if we get rid of that roof color as well, this is again real easy for people to be able to print out with low impact on their print ink. But I use Roll20, so everything I build is intended to be used with Roll20. So I would present this map without a grid and just set it to be 70 dpi per inch, so it'll be about 3,500 by 3330. I'll have to double check it. Anyway, it sits inside of a 55 by 55 inch grid, which is pretty manageable at a 70 dpi for Roll20 to handle. And this map currently is at a 100 dpi. So it's super low resolution, but you can get ridiculously close and still see what's going on with tokens. So this is probably, get that back in effect there. There we go. This is probably a good range for like maybe like here for working tokens. And in a Roll20 environment with the fog and rain effect that we have, you can just set up. You're going to set up a fog of war, literal fog of war, throughout the map, and just set the characters to be tokens that emit a 20-foot radius of light, because that's the visibility range that they have before things become obscured. So it's a really oppressing environment. And we have like undead, like these moats and these bogs are all undead generators. So you can see like all the up in all the unearthed graves that are throughout the place. A lot of them stand alone, but the sinkhole areas that have fallen asunder are there's just a moat of undead that are just kind of sloshing around inside of there. So if you're over here and you're fighting like some specters or something in these bodegas, then you could have just a stream of ghouls like Gauntlet style, like the old 80s video game Gauntlet, how there'd be monster generators that you'd have to hem your way through the creatures to get to the monster generator. And we have things called living graves that basically gather corpses together and then reanimates them with necrotic energy, and so they rise up out of the water and they start coming for your party. So until you can slosh your way in and get poisoned in the effect to go fight the living grave, it can continue to generate monsters at you to attack. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these swampy moat-like areas that undead could rise from. Plus you have these gazebos that have their own little adventure things going on. And you peel off the roof so you can come into this, get that back. You can go into this crypt, and this crypt has a secret door that's hidden here. If you fight through the monsters and get to the hidden door here, that leads down here, down this passage. So your team could actually, if they find the cemetery and they find the secret passage in the cemetery, they can shortcut all that bullshit and start off here. There's like hostage, like local villagers that get captured that are here, that are being sacrificed here. So if you're doing like a one-shot running gun, your team can be plane shifted into the entrance of this facility or the entrance of the graveyard here, and then they can slog through the place to get pulled into the cemetery, because there's an NPC encounter over here that they're being captured by one of these grave areas. And once they get freed, they can either direct you to this gazebo over here, or they can direct you to this crypt over here for you to find the hidden tunnel that leads down into here. So we're going to do this same texturing process and this same wall effect that you have here to differentiate the different types of textures and environments that we're looking at. We're going to drop all those down into this facility as well, inside of this interior wall space here. And then you have all this grit that's on the floor here, and this broken cobblestone stuff. That's all going to be throughout here as well. This is broken cobblestone, while this decrepit area here and here is being gritted up. And the further up here you get, like this area is going to be super gritty, while this down here is just starting to get a little gritty. And then down here they have machines that keep the fog from coming in at all, so that they don't have to suffer through that stuff. So they have a clean air environment, but those clean air machines can be picked up and moved. So you can carry it around with you to keep your characters out of this poisonous stuff. While you're delving through the dungeon, you can have that be set up on a Roll20 as its own clean air sensor, that as it moves, it pushes all the fog out of the way as well. So, hey Nitro, Notorious Interim. Hey Phil, how you doing? Going to try to run session 0 tomorrow. Hoping it's not canceled as well, my friend. I hope it goes well. I'm really looking forward to how that tests out, man, because I loved having you in the game, and gonna love having. I hope your team loves it as much as everyone else has. So I really appreciate you taking some time with it and giving me some feedback. It's really kind. But yeah, so we're gonna get gritty in here. Let's see. We've been working on the water that flows through here, and it's coming along. I'm going to get rid of the grid lines. Like I'm pretty happy with how this is proceeding here into this mess, and then flows outward as you surface again. And I kind of like this blarble in here, but I'm still working it like I did with the cemetery up top. I just have to, keep working it until I'm happy with it. Like, I think that looks pretty freaking cool. So I'll end up trying to pull that kind of language throughout here as well as we continue chewing on that section. But I just wanted to take a break from the grind of pushing pixels in water all day, and decided I wanted to grind by placing additional pixels inside walls for a change. So yippee-doo! It's a nightmare, I tell you that. These things are huge, and they are incredibly satisfying to complete, but whoo doggy, they are. They're exhausting, I gotta tell you that. These things like real labors of love. So let's get laborious, shall we? We're gonna use our chisel brush, so we're gonna dive down here and grab our mountain chalk chisel. Is it the rotator? Yeah, see, I've got I've got my Wacom tablet, so I can freely spin this object around and I can resize it. You can see that language being used throughout here as a sort of like as like a cross view of what this masonry looks like on the interior, right? And then you drop a roof on it, and it doesn't really matter anymore. But these roofs are all lift off, so they get built as separate tokens, right? Like we can, like the crypt roof. We can get rid of the color there, and we could theoretically, if I white out the bottom of the roof, it's its own little plate that you can lift on and take off and move around. So that's pretty cool. But right, we are currently working on this scaffold, this masonry texturing. So picking up a look at this, just getting a feel for it real fast. Let's drift over here to these shrines. You can see the same sort of mottled effect where they're basically fusing stones and stuff together. So we're gonna tap some of that crap in for a while. Let's see. What was that, 40? 50. So 50 is about as big as we need to be. Blah, 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 bigger. Never mind. These guys like, what, 100? Jesus. All right, well, if we need 100, we have 100 in our... Oh, yeah, I can use 100. Holy biscuits. Well, let's just start someplace straight and start pushing our way around this environment a little bit, shall we? So, how's about those shapes there, buddy? We want to... This is the walls layer. So we're going to build a new layer. We're going to hit save. This is what we do. And tap, 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 tap-a-roo. Gonna tap, tap, tap it at. Tap, tap, tap. I think we want to... This is a stairway. It's eventually going to be, like I said, that's a stairway that leads to the stairway that's going to be here eventually. So like we'd have stuff here, right? This isn't necessarily the most innovative work, but it's got to get done. And like I say, the reason I started streaming in the first place is because these projects that I'm working on are ridiculously huge, and the amount of visual assets that are required just for a normal adventure is pretty colossal, especially when you build them this way. So we got a lot of stuff that we need to do, and me showing up on stream is a great way to make sure I keep my ass in the chair to get that work done. If you check in the core, the Color Mana Spell Point Variant Rule bundle that I have down in the description down below, it's all 100% free preview. Folks can just look at it. But if you do just go look at it. There's like 100 some odd illustrations in that bundle. And that was, I originally did it on Twitch, but then I realized that Twitch wasn't saving any of it, so I switched over to YouTube because I didn't want to bother with it. But yeah, it's coming along pretty nicely. Just cooked dinner, so we'll jump back and forth. Yeah, right on, Rep. One idea I just had is, besides using a physical board with a roughly drawn map, I could have a picture of the detailed map up on a TV. Absolutely can. Oh, absolutely. If you want me to take some screenshots for you, so you have looks of different areas, so that folks can like get the can get the vibe of the gritty texture of all this stuff, then I'm happy to do some screenshots for you, just as sample things. When we actually build, here I'll show you. This isn't specifically relevant to Eberron, but it's tangential. Hold on real quick. Let me. Here's the Spelljammer document that I've been working on for the layouts currently, and like when we get down, like for example, we have the mechanics on how to do Spelljammer combat, and then Appendix 2 is converting the Light of Xeraxis into using the Spelljammer combat system that we built here, so that if you want to play Light of Xeraxis, you can use the supplement to do all the cool little space bits that is difficult for DMs to figure out how to do if you haven't been, DMing for 20, 30 years or whatever. So we built all the mechanics to expand this, and the reason I mention it is because you can see how, like, we have this broken up into different sections, right? Zooming in on a page, like Chapter 3, the Lucent Edict, and we have replacement text for what that blurb is. If you're familiar with Light of Xeraxis, you could read along with this. And this will all be 100% preview as well when it's published. But in this area here, there would be like a map of the asteroid belt where the Mind Flayers, the Lucent Edict is located at, right? And then when we have the Neogi Raiders combat, then we can have a general map of where the Neogis show up, and then we can have a zoom-in map of where they specifically ambush the characters in the asteroid field. And then we drop down to another section, Terrors in the Void, where we actually conduct the Neogi combat. We can have token displays of the fighter ship squadrons that are swarming your character's ship. And then this section here, like we could have an image of the Night Spider craft and in its weapon positions. Like this is a space for illustration. So when we do the Eberron book, similar to this, we take each section, like if this is like the mess hall of the laboratory, right? Then when we go down to the siege tower, for instance. If this was siege tower, then we'd have a map. We could drop a map in here. Like I could do a quick screenshot here so you see what I'm talking about. Right? So then we come in here and we'd have here, and then I'll do another one real quick. So like, let me grab a bare patch of ground here real quick. Here, then here, and here. So when we actually do the layouts for the adventure, we can take little component maps like that, right? So we can just drop this in here. For the description, and again, we were looking at the description of this particular area, and so we have like the general information about it, like as a one-page spread, right? We can be looking at this as a one-page spread, and we could drop this map in like the middle of like literally in the middle of the page here, like in this area here, like without screwing up my document, like in this central spot here, right? And then I can wrap all the text, all the descriptive text at the top. And then like have point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6, and have like point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6. And then what happens if then I can have like random encounter stuff here at the bottom of the page. So each page can be its own like control panel for that specific room. So as you move from page to page, you're inside of the map, you would move from here to like, and then like we would zoom in to like stairway down into the barracks area, and then we could zoom out and like here's the barracks like in general. So like here's a general shot of the barracks, and then we can zoom in on specific rooms and so we can zoom in and actually use the maps and the creature tokens for use on the map as the actual visual assets inside of the adventure. And then when I have like little pocket spots like this, which are like too small to realistically do something with, I can like do a sketch of whatever's on that page that I think is relevant and fun to do. So I'm going to have a shitload of customization available, and I can break up the information into small pieces page by page, because I have full control over how the information is written, because me and Andy, we wrote it, and then we handed it off to Stuart. Stuart is now editing it, and when Stuart passes it back to Andy and I, Andy and me, we get to make sure that in the editing process the intent was kept, and if there's now a disparage, we go back through, rewrite, hand back, re-edit, hand back, confirm, lock that page down, and continue pushing through the document. And once that document is completed, we get the whole 90 some odd page crunk. There you go. Here's the manuscript. And then just like with this is like 94 pages here. So when we pan out and you take a look at this full thing, you'll be able to see in a glance, like we got a great opportunity for us to do some kick-ass art here and some more cool art and map work here, map and creature stuff here. Like there's all these little pockets that get opened up on the page, because the content that I wanted on a specific page doesn't necessarily eat up the entire space. So I can fill in pieces as I need to, either as just flavor for illustrations, or technical data, which are often expressed as like charts and stuff. Like here's a chart of how like the different squadrons that the like when the team gets a fleet to go attack the Citadel of Light in Maya Zaraxis, here's the rough, like the quick stat breakdown of each squadron that the team would control. And then you have all the descriptive information about commanding them earlier on when you first convince them to be a part of your team. So you have all the technical detail earlier in the book. But this counts as a visual asset because it's a different visual format that allows the eye to rest while you're going through what is basically a technical document, right? It's like an instruction manual that you're going through how to conduct this adventure. So as you break that down into its individual components, then you can look at like, how do I break up this content so that I'm allowing your eye, I can let your brain rest to absorb the information and change how you use your eye from being a microphone to hear that voice in your head as you're reading, change that into a camera so you can absorb the visual information that I'm feeding to you, again, as aesthetics through an illustration, or as technical information as a map. So that's the process that goes into that. So when I break these things down, I want to be thinking about, as I do my page layouts, how can I best express this cafeteria, dorms, and toilet for people to be able to process. And then I can move here into general storage. Pretty easy room. It's got 3 doors that lead in and out. There's a random encounter, and there's a stack of stuff, munitions, supplies, equipment that the team can loot, dig through, use to make bombs, toss into another room or something, whatever you want to do. Your players, you're going to figure it out. And then like you have the laboratory room here, conveniently located next to all the explosives. That's handy. So if you want to shell out the laboratory and slow down production of evil, like they're creating liquid evil, crystal evil, basically, you can use it for necromancy and darkness-based spells. It's a replacement component, or for use in making magic circles for rituals. Like the Eye of Mabar ritual itself was used they can sustain it with crystals that they create over here in the lab. So they go over here, they're conducting the ritual, they sacrifice a villager to the ritual. That allows them to generate more crystals, which lets them redraw the glyphs, which allows them to continue feeding the ritual so they can increase and stabilize the manifest zone, so they can make a permanent farm of necromancy material that they can then sell off to other countries that are trying to raise their own undead armies, and the people that are trying to do this accumulate stupid amounts of wealth. Of course, wealth is at the bottom of the adventure. It always is. Power, wealth, and ego are like the three drivers of villains in most adventures. So there you go. So I'm pontificating like crazy, but that's all to say what the process is that we're diving through on this. So on Saturday morning, just to plug my channel real quick, on Saturday morning, we'll be back at this. I've been going from backwards to forwards. So we've done the rough layouts for the adventure, as well as the random system generator. Earlier today, I finished the creature menagerie page layout. And then here forward, you can see there's only one column. It's just one column, right? While the rest of these are two columns. I can then, the word I'm looking for is continue my effort through the documents. And once I get all the way through to the front page, right, and I get back up to the cover, then I start going back down through the document, and then we build the trade dressing, like the framing, the background imagery, and then I start scooting text around to lock down exactly where I want the position of all the text. And once all those positions are locked, I'm at the end of the document, and now I start going back forward in the document again and start dropping in art assets. Like marker, just dropping in markers of where all the little images are supposed to be, and start doing rough sketches. I can then extract each page, drop them here into Photoshop, and directly paint on the page. And if the illustration is making me move text around, when I import the image back into the word processor, I can then move the text to wherever I need to be to accommodate the image that we created on stream. So we write the thing, we hand it off to an editor, it comes back, we do the page layouts, and then we do the artwork, and then we publish it, and we do as much of that process as we reasonably can here on stream, so folks can see how this shit's built. So that's the skinny of it. So now, let's go back to walls. But I think there's been some text, and I need to set my timer. So I need to get the 20-minute timer kicking. I want to catch up on stream chat, and then 20 minutes on the block. It's 8 o'clock. I've got about 100 minutes. So let's start cycling. Take a sip. And what we got going on? I need to get some work done. Hey, right on, Fred. See you later, dude. Credit, absolutely. Thank you. Funny thing, I just remembered I was going to mention the adventure name Crystals of Mabar to my players, but the VODs of these are like the third result. Right on, man. Yeah, after they play through it, have them come through here just to chew on it with me if you want, or whatever. Or what you can do. I don't know what your plans are, but one thing that you can do is start them off like in the village, like have use the sheriff's plot, and don't worry. I don't know how committed they are to the characters, but one way you can do it is you can run it from Act 1, and then when they die somewhere in the act, then you can build new characters and you can drop them in using a different plot, so that they can pick up where the last team left off if you wanted to, and you can keep cycling through groups that way if you have a high kill count table. A lot of D&D tables aren't into high death counts anymore, but I'm super old school, so I like to think about that as a possibility and incorporate that into the work that, this is the first adventure I've published, but when I make adventures, I like to think about what happens if everything goes wrong, because I have no idea what the players are going to do. I mean, no one ever does, right? So when something goes completely off kilter, how do you pick up the pieces and keep going? Well, make sure you have more than one pathway leading into your adventure. That's the way that I do it anyway. But I already there's another adventure I want to do. That's also Eberron that I want to build after this one is done. I don't honestly realistically know how fast I'm going to get to it, because I've got Dragonlance on the mass combat and Dragonlance system on my plate that I want to build out for the DMs Guild as well. But I also have I want to do Dragonlance, the board game for Dragonlance, as well as Descent into Avernus. Since we have the vehicle combat system works really well, I want to introduce that. But I want to make sure that I have the guild and kingdom system built so that the characters can literally take command of Elturel in Hell as a base of operations to begin their campaign to their war on Hell, as it were. And so I've got that to build. And after those are all built, then I can start doing more Eberron adventures. And I already have another one lined up that I had ran previously that I would absolutely just love to convert into this style of adventure. And then from there, maybe I'll just start doing Kickstarters or something. I don't know what my next step after that is, but realistically, that's going to be 2025. So, I mean, God, I've got the Ravnica stuff that I want to do. I've got the time travel Groundhog Day adventure campaign that I want to do, but I might actually just do that on Kickstarter. The Groundhog Day campaign might be the actual first Kickstarter campaign that I do. My team, of course, we always play in Eberron, so it's queued up and ready to go for use in Eberron. But I think I want nothing relies on Eberron lore to run the adventures, so I might just make it setting neutral and just file off the names of the different places that are in the adventure to make it system neutral, and kickstart it. That's the word I'm trying to use. But this will be me doing all this stuff on stream, regardless of how long-winded and non-algorithm friendly it is. It's a fantastic proof of concept that, if you invest in me, here's the kind of crap you can expect to see. And then, hyperlink to DMsGuild stuff cover to cover. It's like, if you want one of these, back my Kickstarter. You can help me with the art direction, and I'll send you a book of all the artwork when it's done. That kind of thing. That would be pretty badass. Big dreams, man. Like, what to do with my life. That's some big brain stuff. I'm looking forward to doing it. But big shout out to the Eberron community on Discord and Twitter, because y'all have been consistently showing up and checking out the work that we've been doing here, and it is greatly appreciated. And these things are specifically targeted to you, my posse. I'm gonna get rid of this because I don't need it right now. One of the PCs, the backstory was resurrected and owes their life. Oh my God! Seriously? It's going to be interesting. Oh my God, that's so hardcore. I love that. Oh my God, I am so looking forward to how they decide what they just decide to do, period. That is freaking cool. Oh man. That is totally cool. Like, if you want, you can have other adventuring parties running around inside of the campaign, inside of the adventure, completing plot hooks, like the other plot hooks. Like, you can have a party of gatekeepers that have a gate seal and have them have a magic dagger and all the bits that go on with that plot point that the characters can run into and potentially kill and loot and get their materials if you wanted to. Depending on how much of a challenge they want and how many sessions they're willing to invest being there. You can keep feeding alternate NPC teams from other plot hooks into the adventure if it's part of an ongoing campaign that gives you an excuse to accumulate grudges with these other groups as their commando teams get wiped out by unknown variables. Undoubtedly, they'll eventually find out that variable is your team. And there's going to be some sort of comeuppance that needs to be a debt that needs to be paid in blood, and that can feed a lot of villains and side plots and stuff to get people off of your back, or like how to pay them off, like they have something that you need you to do, or blah blah blah, all the stuff that all the fun backstory feed stuff that you can do. This is a shitload of cool stuff you can do with it. I personally would want my team to take over the facility for good or bad, because I love teams getting bases. And with a magic circle installed into the thing, with removable stones that they can reset. Oh, there's so much they could do with this. Like they could make it the destination for the recall spell, and just cool crap, man. Just some cool crap they can do. Can't do that. I love this thing. It is so cool. And Stuart is doing such an awesome job in editing this. His work is just so fucking good. I am so lucky to have him on the team. I hope it does really well, just to encourage him to stick around to do more of these things with me in the future, because they are a bear. It's like 90 pages of like solid logic contents, like procedural generation, like all that stuff is, it's a technical grind, but the end result is making, hopefully you'll find when you run it that it provides a lot of answers for you, and what answers, like what questions you come up with that aren't directly answered. Hopefully the content is solid enough that it makes it easy for you to make a ruling that works with whatever circumstance isn't being covered by the book already. So high hopes there that it consistently provides just solid guidance for a DM, no matter how experienced they are. It's difficult for me to dumb myself down, like to have a conversation that's like, you haven't been doing this for 30 years, so maybe I need to like gear back a bit in the conversation points. So, but I think we did a pretty good job with it, so I am so looking forward to it. I really hope I can knock down the Spelljammer book quickly, so that I can get it out of the way and published, so that this becomes the primary focus. Like just feed this into the machine and spit out something that's cool. So we'll see if I got the chops or not. At least it'll be pretty. Hopefully it's pretty. The maps are ridiculous. I can readily pat myself on the back about these maps, because they are way more than I anticipated they were going to be. Like, they're monsters. I can use these maps for multiple things in the future. Like the cemetery, I can do like a Halloween one-shot special thing, and like have like a scavenger hunt among the graves for characters to find while they're fighting undead and knocking down monster generators, right? So that was Andy's idea, actually, so full credit to him. But maybe not this year, but next year as a Halloween special, the haunted graveyard would be a fun little, just like a little doohickey to do, like a whatever. It's a whatever, yo. But I'm looking forward to it. Already looking forward to it. Knocking it down. Ask all my characters to provide a backup character, but I'm curious to see how deadly this adventure will be for a party of 6 7th level adventurers. Me too. Hopefully the ads, the mobs, and the random encounter options are enough to once you calibrate how well the team can chew through this stuff. Hopefully there'll be enough content and random stuff to be able to fatigue their resources. My perspective, just for whatever it's worth, everyone's different, but from my perspective as a DM is I did a good job if I can knock the team down to like burning out most of their resources. Like if they start crying for a rest, it means I'm pretty much and I can provide them a rest. Maybe not immediately, but reasonably soon. Then I'm doing a pretty good job. I don't have to kill them to scare them. All I got to really do is make them concerned about what happens next. Like if they're sweating the next fight, I don't really need to have a next fight. I need to threaten the next fight while they desperately try to find someplace to hide and sleep for a little while. Like that's good DMing to me. Anytime you can make the players sweat, you're doing a good job. And that's all as a narrator in general. That's the only real purpose we actually serve in the campaign is to threaten, scare, and thrill the players so that they believe that their characters are at risk, so the choices that they make have meaning, which is a common complaint I have about 5e adventuring and how padded and safe they make them for new players that don't want to get frustrated and throw their bat and go home without buying more books. It's like, I think my personal philosophy is if you terrify them, they're going to get excited. They're going to want to come back for more. But I'm also a very, very old school gamer that, grew up on BECME. So my perspective about what is tolerable risk may not necessarily meet today's standards. And honestly, the 3 new players that I'm DMing for this is their first campaign ever. It's the time travel it's the Groundhog Day campaign. So they never actually die. So the only thing they're risking is wasting their time, which is significant enough. But it's very much like Castlevania or Metroid with save points, where they can continue to progress through the campaign, and they're almost level 18 now. But they've been groundhogged since level 1, and it's the only campaign they've ever played. It's like this is their D&D experience. Is my game, so they've got a completely skewed. Like their perspective about like what D&D is like completely skewed from the mainstream, because I've got them in this crazy caveat sort of campaign setup with very customized characters, with unique rules for character builds because of the time loop stuff that they can get involved in. It's a very unique campaign that is not going to translate well into a normal D&D game. So once we get done with this one, I'm going to put them into a more traditional game where they run an adventuring guild. So they have multiple characters in their roster, so I can kill them without mercy, because one of their goals is to gather resources so they can afford more adventurers, so they can gather more resources that they can then do something with, So anyway, that's me. Hard agree, he says. I'm working with players that often long rest and don't short rest, and I'm trying to change that for them. Very nice, very nice. Culture shifts are a bitch, honestly, depending on what the team is doing, obviously. But that's too much outie. I'm gonna pull that a little bit. Yeah, Nitro, I know we've had a number of conversations at this point. I think you and I see like pretty even keel as far as like risk management and DM narrative control, and it's really cool to run across somebody who starts off as a stranger and to over time, just see how well you can just relate to somebody. I think that's a really great aspect of humanity. It's our ability to integrate and accept and incorporate other things into, ourself. This is the job. Put the target in the middle of the circle, pull the trigger. Put the target in the middle of the circle, pull the trigger. Put the target in the center of the circle, pull the trigger. Put this target in the center of the circle, pull the trigger. I don't know if you're a Neon Genesis Evangelion fan, but I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that show quite a bit. The muscle reflex training that they'd have to do after school, just seeing the mecha and targeting with a weapon, target, just like getting used to pushing a giant mecha around with their mind. It's a cool little detail, and it's a really cool spot to be able to segue into character interactions, like personality and background stuff. God, it's the original Neon Genesis series is just a masterful production. Super freaking great pacing, really cool enemies, an excellent episodic approach to a serial story. It's good shit, man. It is by far one of the best anime I have seen. I've seen a lot of them. Older school. By the time we got into like early 2000s, I kind of burned out on the story tropes that are typical throughout anime. Like the redemption arc or the you can do it if you have faith in yourself story. Like there's only so many stories you can tell, and not being from Japanese culture, it's you kind of pick up on the differences in their story arc structuring a little faster, because like it sticks out because it doesn't hit the same way as you're used to. Like if you're from the West, especially America, the way that Asian stories don't hit the same way as they do in American culture, so you can see the differences easier. And when it's the same story being played out over and over again in different settings, so it can get it gets real samey after a while, and which is good because anime is just when you're buying them on DVDs, it is like crack. It is expensive. So starting a party in a tavern in Bastion. I have Bard playing music and chatting rumors between his sets. I have some ideas, but what kind of rumors do you think this Bard would have? The Mercenary Guild is retired military, like special ops, that still work as a general company. So having somebody come through recently and do a big hire for expats, or not expats, but retired soldiers, that would probably be noteworthy, like worth mentioning, especially if your characters look like adventurers. Like, oh man, you missed it. There was a guy that was coming through. He was recruiting muscle like maybe a month or two ago. I think they're heading up into the Carnwood, which is scary, dangerous. There's Eidolon that live in the eastern region, the far western area of Carnwood. The eastern area where this is located is far enough away that it would take a long time for the Eidolon to realize that there was somebody that was basically squatting in their forest. But that would be an interesting, considering all the undead and specters and stuff that are floating around. It would be an interesting note to say. I think the Eidolons are taking the Eastern Forest, and so there's heightened security in the area. Another rumor is that there's a bunch of the Thorpe is a refugee village, and since the last war is over, and there's so many decommissioned soldiers that literally don't have a village to go back to, they have to start over someplace. So it'd be easy to rumor, like, considering its location, Talenta Plain Raiders are harassing villages along the Carnwood tree line. Some of them are apparently going missing. So when you show up, there's no dinosaurs there, but there's undead instead, so they get pulled into it anyway. It could be that rumors have it that the military says that they don't want people going into the eastern reaches of Carnwood until they can re-secure the borders to the south to prevent raiding from Valinor through the Talenta Plains. Rumor has it that there's a weird material that can only be mined in the eastern Carnwood, and now there's dwarves from Moorhold that are starting to foray into eastern Carnathy, and it has the Outriders in high alert because a trundle of dwarves is nothing to mess with. So they may be going and thinking they're going to fight high armor stuff, and then they get pulled into a mercenary block, you know? So those are a couple ideas. Maybe some of those resonate with you. Sirens are also displaced, and as long as no one knows who you are, you could get away as being displaced from Sire into Carnathy, or into Carnath, and a quiet little village, that doesn't want any imperial attention, could work really well there, especially if your team has a grudge against Sirens in general. That's a good path. That may be more false and misleading. Well, what do you mean by misleading? What deception do you want to perform? Like, do you want them to be improperly equipped? Do you want them looking for something but it isn't there? I mean, I can just make up bullshit for days, but if there's something more targeted specifically, that might be more useful than just a blanket statement. I'm happy to brainstorm something real quick. The forest is haunted and the trees are coming to life, and we're not sure if it's like an evil spirit or a hag or maybe a rogue gatekeeper that's trying to do some sort of vengeance mission against Carnathy for war crimes committed in the Eldeen Reach. That could be a thing. It's a half-truth, because once they get down into the lab here, there's like ropers and shambling mounds and assassin vines and stuff. So it actually is a decent plant and undead spread inside the dungeon if necessary, but I'm not sure if that's what you mean. I don't have anything particular I want to accomplish. With False Rumor. I just like for Bard giving out rumors to be like a grab bag of truths and untruths. Oh, I see. Just some random bullshit for them to potentially run with to eventually evolve into a hook. How about there is how about the Red Scale tribe is a bunch of razor claw riding halflings that are attempting to kill off any anybody that tries to settle the southern grasslands. Let's see. There could be from the Mournland. Oh my God! What a great opportunity! Hold on, real quick. I have a treat for you, my friend. I have a treat for you. Let's go to Crystals of Mabar. And let's go up to the... So the reason this adventure exists at all is because I'm writing a random adventure generator, and this is one of the random adventures that we came up with, and then we built it out. When I was building the document, I got into so many examples and caveats and stuff about like how to build adventures together that I figured we should just make an adventure to prove our point. And then we can self-reference that adventure throughout the design document. So, chance your own adventures. Let's see if we have a list here. Okay, so there are lists of plot hooks, villains, the plot, the location, and the plot twist that modifies all the other components, right? So it's a D100 list. I'm going to roll 5 D100. I'm going to skip location. And we'll do location anyway to see if it's relevant. But I'm just going to take a moment here because I got to get back to work. But I'm going to just take some handy-dandy percentile dice. Too bad Fred left because he was arguing forever on how to express how to roll percentile dice. It would have been useful to have him here right now. Too bad. But if you want to roll some percentile dice and crack off a couple numbers, we can build something together real quick. It'll give me something random to talk about, that's for sure. But, okay, great. So I got my dice, and I'm going to just jump in here real quick. Let's just do this. So I get a 37... and a 44, $17. God, I haven't done this in ever. 23. $11. 46. All right, let's see what this does. I don't think I've ever done this on stream before. So let's start with the hook. Hook 37. This will eventually be a book that's on the DMsGuild as well. The heroes hear their names mentioned constantly, but no one they confront recalls the conversation. That might be a fun way, like the team thinks that they hear the bard mentioning their name over and over again while they're being played, or people in the crowd mention their name perhaps. I will grab yours real quick. 11, 72, 27, 2, and 98. I'll do mine in a minute, but let's do yours. 11. A scorned lover accuses the hero of having ruined their romance. I don't know if that's going to be useful or not. And let's load up the next one, which is 72. Let me go ahead and get through all of these, and then you can add comments or whatever. 72 is going to be the villain. This may or may not. It's completely random. These aren't custom lists. Like we can make like a list of D10s specifically for Droam. Like you can see Droam crops up a lot. Like all the things you can build D10 lists out of anything specifically. But the plot is around a Medusa. Oh my god. So the villain is a diplomat, a Medusa diplomat from Droam, and the plot hook is a scorned lover. This is already building itself. Can you feel it? Don't reply. Let me finish getting these in. 27 is the actual plot is a heroic plot. There's H and V. Heroic for the plot is about what your characters are trying to do, and V is villainous for what the villain is trying to do that you're attempting to stop. So stop bandits from damming the river upstream to extort payments. See, this may or may not make any sense, but let's see what ends up parsing itself out for you. The location is number 2, in the ruins under the city, whatever that city is. And then the last one is a 98. That's the twist. A minor NPC met early in the adventure turns out to be pivotal to the plot. So that's our random crap that we have to work with. We have the plot. We have the hook. The plot. Sorry, but we have the hook, the villain, the plot, the location, and the twist. So a minor NPC ends up being important for the adventure to conclude. It starts off with a scorned lover accusing the heroes of having ruined their romance. A major player in the adventure that's the villain is a Medusa diplomat from Droam. Your characters are attempting to stop bandits from damming the river upstream to extort payments. And it takes place in the ruins under the city. Minor NPC met early in the adventure. So you could take the ruins and say like there's rumors that there is a dungeon complex underneath the Carnwood Forest, which is why military are currently there, preventing people from accessing the area, which is a half-truth. That's useful. Stopping bandits from damming the river. It could be like what's to say? The military is attempting to dam up they are attempting to cause an underground earthquake to collapse the aquifer underneath the Carnwood in the eastern area to open up new terrain for mining and to deprive these undocumented villages from having a water source in their wells. If they drop the aquifer, the wells all dry up and they can't crop and they can't survive there on their own. So that's a fun thing they could do. Scorned lover accused. I like the idea of whispers and stuff that the characters keep hearing their name being called, but never can find anyone that will admit that they're the ones that were saying anything. That's kind of cool if you want to get some crazy stuff like some Zoriat energy going inside the game with madness. You could start having them hearing things. That's an easy way to go. But yeah, the book that we're building with these random encounters is like how do you take random elements like this and build them into a cohesive story that you can then flesh out with like 1, 2, 3 acts that do this Jo Quay style of plot of plot streaming from the beginning hook into the finale, and like how do you build out villains inside these things. And it's just kind of like I guess it's just like an Eberron themed, how do you make an adventure? And then we use this adventure as the example throughout that book. So I forget which numbers the particular plot point it is that we did, but we randomed an adventure, and this is that the Crystals of Mabar is that adventure that we built. So when after this publishes, I can start actually working on that adventure design book, because I'll be able to bundle it with this Crystals of Mabar book, and then be able to refer to, like, hey, look at page 75, and you can see how you could take a combat scenario with these mercenaries, and as long as there's a couple stray points, you can build enough character into them that you could turn that combat encounter into a social encounter, and here's how you can do that. And like we have the table of stuff that the guards talk about when they don't think they're being heard, that reveals that they're really concerned about the amount of undead that they're being told they have to fight. They used to fight alongside undead, so they know how dangerous they can be if things go sideways on them. Like, there's some fun stuff there. So it's hopefully this ends up being a really cool set piece to demonstrate what that book is. So, because I like how the book, I like how it's coming along as far as like a design inspiration. Like, this is what you can do with random stuff, and then be able to provide that D100 list for just to get people's brains percolating about different things that can happen in Eberron in general. It's something that I can come back to over and over again, honestly. Like, if Keith pulls the trigger on the town, like the western threshold, the Wild West town on the borderline between Brayland and Droram, if he pulls the trigger on building down the DMsGuild, then I could take this and build a D12 list for things out of Threshold, right? And build a random encounters of Threshold, or like D12 adventures of Threshold, that sort of thing. That's kind of the idea behind it. And then, of course, once I have that built, I can extract that and, like, D100 adventures in Ravnica, D20 adventures of Theros, etc. Just keep building out more and more ideas like that once I get it built. So, but this is the other big brain project I have going on, other than Dragonlance and Descent into Avernus and building a mass combat system and blah 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 blah. Like the amount of time, like my entire career as a game designer is built around like fleshing out Wizards of the Coast content. It's I like getting into settings, because it's just like the Eberron, like these Eberron things just get a lot more views and watch time than anything else that I put out. So big love to the silent crowd that's listening in. I really appreciate you guys consistently showing up. That's really kind. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Did you want me to go through the other random numbers that I cracked out for myself, or does that give you some tasty ideas to play with already and you're good? You bet, man. I have 500 of them. So they're unedited, because Stuart Braz is my editor for that project as well, which is why he's the editor for this adventure, because it's the same thing. It's the same project, so he's on board so far, and I guess if I feed him enough Pepsi, he'll stick around. But yeah, I'm excited. I am excited. I have a playtest. I've mentioned this before, but I don't think a lot of people know. that in the color mana mechanic bundle that I have in the description down below, if you go into the tap on tap burn core mechanics book, there is a link to a YouTube channel called Babies with Knives, and they haven't been active in a while, but when they were banging, they each week they would grab another independent RPG game, read through it, and then they'd invite the designer on to explain what the premise behind the game is, help them build characters, and then in another session run a one-shot. And so when I created the 5 color mana spell point variant rules, I bumped into them, and they're like, yeah, this looks cool. They are MTG enthusiasts, and they weren't 5e players. So I created a 6th level adventure using the 5 color mana paradigm as the base assumption in the game, and I built an Eberron adventure using that random generator. And so if you watch the playtest, the link that's in the description, it's a 6-hour play. Basically, it's a 6-hour playtest. It ran 2 sessions, 3 hours each, and it basically took them through 3 acts of finding out there's trouble, getting to the trouble, and then resolving it. And it was a bunch of players that had never played 5e before, and they loved Eberron, they loved the mana system, and they loved the game that I ran. So it was just there was only one feel bad moment when the paladin got hit with a trap that stunned him for a couple rounds while they were trying to chase a rogue through a temple, and they were feeling time pressure. So it was he got blindsided by it, so I don't blame him for being upset about that. But that was literally the only real complaint that they had. And one of the players liked to have more role playing than I offered as a DM, because as a DM I am heavy into exploration and puzzle solving, and then back it up with threats of combat. But I don't do much about social interaction, like at all. Like none of my mechanics are about character interaction and social stuff. It's all very Beck-me, old school, like, building things, discovering things, or killing things as the general theme of the books that I produce. So there was a flavor misalignment there, but those were literally the only 2 things, and those were honestly easy fixes, like mea culpas, and then good to go. But the whole thing is there online for you to listen through, like super raw, super raw. But it uses the same random system generator. I just randomed an encounter on my own and built it out into a one-shot adventure that ended up lasting 6 hours, and same system, same book, same rules, and I want to publish that one next as further proof of concept. And every time I build an Eberron adventure, I can bundle it with the adventure design book. And my big brain long-term dream is, once I get these things published, I can recruit people that want to write their first adventure, and then basically put them through the book and have them build an adventure, and I can help them with map assets and hyping it and like working on design stuff, and introduce them to my editor if Stuart's interested, or do it myself if he's not, and just build it out just like this. Like make a studio out of it, like an adventure design studio. I think that'd be super fun, but it's going to take years for me to get there, honestly. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that'd be a lot better, like to have like set up through a Patreon or something to have people involved with. I'm not sure, but it's one of the things that I aspire to do. Become a river to my people. I've bagged 30 years of DMing. I should really try to... It's actually, for my own personal evolution, it's fantastic how crappy 5e is for DMs, because it's a great opportunity for me to kind of lean into the skill set that I've developed over the decades, and like the mass combat stuff, and my ideas about like time space mechanics with Spelljammer, and all the blah blah. Just like the way that I stack effects onto things, and the way that I like to build challenges. I think there may be like actual value there that others may find valuable as well. That if I can bequeath unto the lessons that I have learned over time, and they help somebody like, connect the dots a little bit easier, then I'll be able to leave the table feeling pretty proud of myself. I'm not going to be having any kids, so mentoring is basically the only fatherly satisfaction I'll ever experience. I guess I could adopt, but I'm almost 50, man. I don't want to adopt a kid. I just want to go on I just want to go on cruises I just want to go on Alaskan cruises. Celebrate that I don't have to pay for somebody's education. I gotta say, of all the things that have happened to me in the past few years that I've started developing games, I really love how insistent I've become on like providing a proof of concept. Like if I'm going to introduce a shitload of new mechanics, I should be showing you how to use them in an adventure. I like that. Like that level of accountability is incredibly satisfying to me. Like to be able to, like a lot of people will like have an idea about a thing and then they'll make a PDF about it and then sell it on the DMsGuild or post it on Reddit or something, and not like really spend the time vetting it like they need to. So I like that I'm building radical redesigns of how 5e interacts with characters and tables and stuff, and being able to provide like active examples of stuff that Wizards have put out that these things are built to work with, like to make better. I absolutely just love that is what I've been guided to do. It kind of started with the 5-color mechanic books because like I'm building these color mechanic ideas. I should probably like make some characters that actually use the color mechanics so that people can see like what does this stuff actually look like what can I expect from my characters if I use this stuff. And I just fucking fell in love with making color-based characters. So that ended up being just a huge joy for me. But that also pretty much locked down that like if I'm going to build something, I should build it so like it's intended to be used, Like if I can't demonstrate to you how to use this thing, like give you a practical example of what this is supposed to do for you, then I can't. Why would anyone want to buy it? It's just going to be a thing that sits on their shelf that they don't freaking do anything with. Like no. This is how you're supposed to use this. So go use it. Anyway, hard ramble mode. Don't mind me. A cruise would be nice. I love cruises. I love cruises. Unless you count a character playing D&D. Yeah, they are super freaking fun. Not that you need to know this anytime soon, but there's cruises generally have destinations. I'm in Seattle, so it's super easy for me to go to Alaska. It's super easy for me to go down the west coast to Mexico. But all these places have like destinations, right? And you can buy excursions. Like in Alaska, you can go whale watching, or you can like take a helicopter trip onto the glacier, or you can like take a 3-hour hike that ends at a smokehouse that has fresh caught crab and mussels that they're cooking for you when you arrive, so you can smell the crab on the trail as you get close. Oh god, that was so cool. We did this boat tour that went on this lake. I don't remember the name of the lake in Alaska, but it was there was a storm rolling in, and so they're like, we got to get out of the water. So we were in the middle of this lake on this little island, and so we had, it was a safety hazard. So like we got to get out of here. So we got to go. And so we're on this rowboat, and there was so much electrical charge in the air that my hair was standing up, like literally like up like this in the water, like while I was on the boat. And like I have pictures of it. It's freaking great. But like 2-foot strands of hair sticking straight up from my head like an antenna. It's like, oh my god, that's insane. It was insane. There was another lake that we went canoeing on while we were up there too. That had this rock sticking out of the water with this massive tree on it, and it was a nest for these bald eagles. And they would fly down. They would see so many tours that they're partially domesticated at this point. They knew that if they saw people, that there's a decent chance that we'd throw food to them. But they'd sweep. So they would literally just swoop past the rowboat that we were in, like almost within arm's reach, just like the 6-foot wingspan bird. It's like, oh my fuck, it was amazing. It was amazing. We went and looked at seals that were all stacked up on these rocks, and they were sunning. It was God, it was so cool. But the reason I brought it up, like when we went to Mexico, there wasn't anything specifically we wanted to see, so we stayed on the boat. And the best food is served during excursions. Like if you decide not to go on an excursion, we had just this freaking ridiculous mahi fish. It was cooked to perfection. But what was really outstanding about the dish was the sorbet. It was a thyme raspberry sorbet that was like super savory. And it had like this awesome mix of savory and sweetness. But as soon as it hit your tongue, it disappeared. Like it was perfect. It was because sorbet is supposed to cleanse your palate. So like you get this quick taste of like this sharp sweetness, and then there was like this little low buzz of savoriness, and then it all just disintegrated, and it was like your palate was completely clean. It was amazing. I have never experienced sorbet that could sweep a palate so thoroughly, so like just a tiny little bite. It was amazing. It was worth the entire trip just tasting that sorbet. It was psycho good. If you're a foodie at all, if you're into that kind of shit, there is some freaking 5-star opportunities on cruises. And you don't want to buy, there's a drink package that you get unlimited drinks, but basically it works out to basically, it's basically 4 drinks a day. So like if you're a decent drinker, it's worth it. But like if like 2 or 3 drinks and you're drunk and you don't want to get drunk twice a day, then it's better just to buy it a la carte. There's gambling, like they specifically pull out away from coasts far enough so that you're in international water, so they can open up the casino that's on board all these boats. I'm not a big gambler, but I like the fun. So if you budget in the entertainment of it, it's totes worth your time. Cruises are amazing, man. I can just keep going on and on about how freaking awesome cruises are. If you couldn't tell. Where are we at? Oh my god, it's 9 already. Do I have a timer going or don't I? Yeah, 3 minutes left. Well, I've still got a half hour. Yeah, me and my gal, we want to take a cruise to Japan. It is a 17-day journey, and we fly back. It is gonna cost us about $8,000 to do it, but It is our 3-year plan. So I think we're able to pull the trigger on it next year. God, how fun though. God, I love cruises. Oh my God, there's a movie. I think it's on Netflix. It's called The Triangle of Sadness. And it might be Hulu. I'm not positive. It might be Hulu. Anyway, it's called Triangle of Sadness. And it's about a bunch of rich people on a cruise. And it is so fucking funny. It is so funny. I won't spoil any of it, but God, I was just laughing out loud. It was so good. It's a very slow start, and they are deplorable people. But they specifically take time for you to accumulate spite for them so that when they're on the cruise, you don't mind what happens on the cruise at all. It's so fun. I cannot recommend it enough. Triangle of Sadness. Good times. Freaking good times. Sorry, I'm thinking about the movie. It's so funny. Oh God, it's I just saw it last week. It's so funny. It's a very dark humor in it. I mean, Woody Harrelson's in it, so I mean, take it for a grain of salt. But that's the kind of film it is. You know, if Woody Harrelson's involved in it, then chances are it's got some sort of wrongness to it. There's going to be some sort of wrongness. But great film. Cannot recommend enough. Pause. What? God, I love texture. It takes for fucking ever, but God, it's so satisfying. Illustration in general, but cartography in particular, is like you're drawing your own coloring book that you then color. So like you have the creative process of building the thing, and then you have the cathartic release of coloring it in. It's so relaxing. I love the process. Just love it. I really don't. I mean, I start to burn out on a map after a while, but only because I'm thinking about production, you know? Like, I got stuff to do. But one more 20-minute block, and then we'll bounce out for the day. And then I'm going to go back into page layouts. But I promise there'll still be some page layouts to do on Saturday when we stream the Spelljammer book some more. But for those that don't know, I stream every morning for my wake-up coffee. That'll be in 9 hours from now. I stream for about 100 or some odd minutes in the morning, every morning, Monday through Friday. Saturday, I get to sleep in, so I stream for a few hours. That'll be in 36 hours from now. 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 36 hours from now, Saturday morning. That's when I'll be streaming more book production for the Spelljammer. Tomorrow morning, when we do our coffee stream, I'll be continuing the Fightercraft token production for the Spelljammer book. Spelljammer, lots of Spelljammer, jammer, because that is the book, that is my large book production right now. So I'm allocating most of my stream design time in producing, thus promoting that work. And once that's out of the way, then I will be doing Eberron 6 days a week and 2 nights a week. Like Eberron, crystal. That'll be all I do when the Spelljammer is off my plate. And then once the Eberron adventure is off my plate, then we'll be publishing Martial Powers, and we'll begin playtesting for Dragonlance, the mass combat system that we built. And then we'll slowly be doing the conversion process for the Dragonlance campaign as well as the Dragonlance board game. So you don't have to spend $120 to play the campaign. You can just buy my probably $30 supplement. $20 for the mechanics and like $20 for the adventure to go along with it. Maybe bundle it down to $30. But that's a hell of a lot cheaper than the $120 you'd have to spend for the campaign books plus the board game they want you to buy. Like, it took them 2 years to build that board game. What's wrong with you people? Are you professional board game creators or aren't you? But whatever. I'm on a very different wavelength from them, and I really shouldn't shit on them too hard because it's not fun. It's not fair to beat up the weak. So humble pie has been destroyed. Karma ensues. I will accept my lumps, but will stand by the statement. That is an important priority to me, honestly, because I don't want people wasting money on that board game. The economy is rough. You shouldn't be wasting your money on a shitty board game when you can just use my stuff instead. So the mechanics still work. I mean, the only reason I'm not working on it right now is because Spelljammer is a very specific subset of those mechanics, and it's ready to go. So I put the main command system book on hold, peeled out the Spelljammer portion, and then once that's out of the way, then we can just do the rest of it. So that's what I got going on anyway. For whatever that's worth. And he goes silent. Pause and reflect. I have been on hard ramble mode today. It's nice. It's nice to ramble. Thanks for letting me just babble inanely at you. Now I just want to watch Big Trouble in Little China again. I don't know why. It just fed in my head. You should watch some Jack Burton. I can get on board that train. Get some Pork Chop Express for my night. Did I just complete a full course? Exterior shell only, monsieur. Now you got your interior curve. No rest for the wicked. I was just thinking that with how long you can go on about cruises, made me think about the idea of a murder mystery or other adventure on a super high class cruise to the astral plane. That could be fun. That could be fun. The problem with the astral plane is that people can just leave. If there is a murder on the boat, they can just drift away to a location that they're thinking about, and you'll never see them again. So that's I like the idea though, but I'd put it in wild space, where if you get off the boat, you run out of air pretty quickly. I think that's a good way to keep people locked in the place for you to do a proper Agatha Christie. But I like the idea. That's cool. Do not let me shit on your creativity, sir. If you can think of one of the big things about, in my mind anyway, one of my processes about adventure design is going through a lot of the logic pathing about is this where in my adventure am I going to lose the buy-in from the players? Like if I break suspension of disbelief, I've trashed the adventure and it's not going to perform the way I expect it, because they're now going to be disengaging and fourth walling it too much. The metagame starts to step in. So I'm really sensitive about is the environment conducive to what the adventurer is going to do? Like in this instance, if you got somebody that's doing a murder mystery, what's keeping him on the boat? It's you have to have something that traps people on the boat. Wild space itself is deadly if you're left out on your own. But in astral space, in the astral sea, man, you're fine. You can literally just drift forever if you want, or think about your grandmother's house and you'll eventually find a color pool that leads to that same sphere, and you'll be literally home free. But the idea of some sort of a spacefaring cruise sounds super fun. It's murder on. Oh my god! Now I'm thinking about the Scooby-Doo episode where the gang got invited for some stupid reason to be on a cruise, and there's a mad scientist on the cruise that's trying to that built a time machine, and for whatever fucking reason he decided to demonstrate its power on this cruise. But it just ended up being a ridiculously ornate plot to steal somebody's jewelry. It's you didn't have to go through all that crap, but he did, because he needed a way to have something steal the necklaces from the rich people and have them think that the thief left the ship somehow. So it was a time traveling monster that stole their jewelry, outright just stole their jewelry and then disappeared into time. And well, crap, I guess our jewelry's gone. And Scooby-Doo's ruh-roh, there's something weird about this. And so that's what kicks off the adventure. And then they figure out that it was just a bunch of bullshit. But I mean, it's all a bunch of bullshit, really, isn't it? It's freaking Scooby-Doo. But I wonder if we were to do a breakdown of every Scooby-Doo episode, how easily would we be able to convert all of it into D&D shenanigans? That almost sounds like a worthwhile investment of time. yawn, he says, the reason you yawn is because you're not getting enough air, and the reason I don't get enough air is because I'm ranting a lot. So I end up having to yawn in the middle of me ranting about something because I haven't breathed in like 2 minutes. Yes, please do not let me shit on your ideas. If the Astral Sea is calling to you, then I will be amused and excited to see what you come up with. 'Pop up. Scooby is merely a very sternly well-shaped. That is the most accurate statement I've heard. That is great. Five minutes left and then we wrap up. Shapes, colors, shapes and colors. I am almost out of time. All good things must come to an end. monochromatism. We got all this interior gunk to do. Yeah, we got some. Well, at least walls are easy to do. Time plus effort equals success. If you haven't succeeded yet, you either haven't tried long enough or you haven't tried hard enough. Or you haven't, not even hard enough, you just haven't put in enough effort for a long enough time. Even if what you're doing is absolutely horrible, if you do it long enough, you will succeed at whatever you're trying to do. There may have been opportunities for you to succeed quicker or have a greater level of success, or whatever benchmarks you're setting for yourself to determine success may be better in other scenarios, but whatever the hell it is that you're doing, if you can keep just doing it long enough, you'll eventually get some sort of recognition of what you're seeking. That's called failing forward in the corporate world. Or, sorry, that's failing up. In games, it's called failing forward. I also want to see that new Adam Driver movie, 65, about him fighting dinosaurs in space. That looks like a fun genre mashup, and the Kylo Ren story didn't really leave a satisfying taste in my mouth that Adam Driver can like really just do violence. There was some end of the world movie. And that he was in recently, and he had a little bit of violence going through him during that one, but it was very middle class. It wasn't hard action. It was just incidental chaos. It was well done. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. Bong bong. Yeah, I hear ya. Oh my god, did you see that? Are you fucking kidding me? That lines up pretty damn well. My art, man. My art, my language. This really speaks to that comment I was making the other day about how when you start building your own brushes, how those brushes can feed into the language of like your line weight, how you move lines on, and like how you color block, and like it's all the same. It's all you. When you start defining your own style, like the angles that you use, the curves that you have, the line weight that you use, it all kind of feeds into each other to be coherent. And that's something that just kind of intuitively happens over time. You just got to time plus effort. Times over effort times time. Time and effort is the word that I think I'm ultimately going to have to end up being okay with. It's time and effort equals acquire a style. Fun little notches like that, where the art just feeds into the space. God, it's so cool. Those are very satisfying moments. Yeah, my timer popped. I just want to finish this. Well, I honestly don't know how big it. Yeah, we'll just finish this and we'll be done. But yeah, so in about 8.5 hours, we're going to be back on, continuing working on fighter craft production, ship tokens for the Spelljammer book that we built. And then we'll be back Saturday morning to do layout for that book. I'm going to hit save. Very satisfying, guys. Man. Alright, so I am out of here, dudes and dudettes. Thanks all for support and love and pushing pixels with me, and I hope you all have a great night, and I hope I get to see at least a couple of you guys in about 8.5 hours. So like, subscribe, Twitter at Phil Kearney, grab some books, buy them if you like them. I'll be back in the marrow. So see you guys then. Cheers.